I went to the hobby shop just to buy some glue. So what did I buy? Well, you guys may recall I said I wanted to compare an MPC with an AMT kit. So I got one of each. The 65 GTO by AMT and the 67 Pontiac GTO by MPC. And I thought it'd be nice to do sort of a comparison between the two. I know each of the companies has its champions, and I haven't really built enough of each to form much of an opinion, so here's an opportunity to expand my model building horizons. Now, I won't be getting to this for a while because I've got all these other projects. Also, to mention, I was in an armor mood, feeling tanky. Whoa, careful. So I got this Tamiya M41 Walker Bulldog that I've been eyeing for a while. And for reasons I don't understand, all the Tamiya kits, the 135 scale armor, runs about $40 to $50 in general. This one was $16.99. So, and I actually went to the clerk, said, the owner, and said, you sure this is tagged right? I don't want to rip you off. And they checked, and nope, that's it for some reason. And I know it's a light tank, but anyway, so I will be building this at some point. I considered motorizing it, but I've got several motorized tanks. There's really no reason to. Plus, I got so much else going on. So we'll get to these at some point. And yes, I did remember to buy the glue. And for once, they had flat black, so I picked myself up some flat black and a few other colors that I needed. And the other thing that I got, which is going to be for the George, was I got, yes, I'm going to use a spray can, I got the Imperial Japanese Navy dark green, which should be the correct color for the airplane, or close enough to it. And it gave me an idea for a little experiment to do when I build the airplane, a way to paint it that might save me a little bit of masking. So anyway, that's what I got at the store. And so for other stuff. Hey guys, I thought I'd talk about the Saturn File for just a second real quick. You notice, of course, it's got all these bumps and fairings and things that stick out all over the place. And obviously nothing on a rocket is without a purpose. Everything about a rocket is necessary because weight is critical. They won't put anything on it doesn't need. Most of you probably already know, but just for the few who might be interested, you'll notice a lot of these external fairings cross over the staging sections, and in many cases they carry cables, hoses, pipes, things like that that have to connect from one to another, and they're usually ballistically separated when the rocket stages. This is standard on pretty much every rocket made anywhere in the world. One thing they did in this one is these little fins on the instruction sheets, they call them ullage rockets. I don't think that's correct. I believe they're antenna. These should be the ullage rockets, these larger blisters. And in case you're just wondering what an ullage rocket is, when the stages separate, remember the rocket's been coasting for a while. Now you'll notice they don't really have to have much in the way of ullage rockets on the first stage because they don't need it. It's taking off in 1 G of gravity. But when the engine's cut out and they get ready to do their staging, they have to separate. So they need little rockets to fire different directions to get everything to pop off in the correct direction. But one other thing you have to remember is basically most of a rocket is a fuel tank. You got those fluids in there, and you need all the fluids to be pulled down to the bottom when the engine fires. For most rocket engines, liquid fuel rocket engines. And what happens is once they're up in 0 gravity, for example, and they're coasting around, they're getting ready to stage, the motors kick off, it goes 0 gravity. These little ullage rockets can fire and give the rocket just a small kick, enough to put maybe 1 G of gravity in there, so that all the fluids will go down, so that when the big engines fire, all the fuels and everything are right where they're supposed to be, and they mix in the turbo pumps correctly, or the pump systems correctly. And it's just a way of keeping proper pressure on the fuels until it fires. Now the later stages I believe are pressurized, where they don't necessarily need that. I'm not 100% sure about the command module. It operates on a different system, but the ullage rockets, like I say, just give it a little kick, and of course have the other little rockets that fire to separate the piece away, so they're firing in 2 different directions. But you need to give the rocket that little push up to get all the fuels to settle so that engines will fire correctly. And I don't know if technology's moved past that today, but just a little thing so you just kind of understand what all these little blisters, and they're all critical. And so I just thought you might find that a little bit interesting. And as you might be able to tell, we're starting to get some weather out here, so I think I'll just stay here in the shed where it's safe so I don't get struck by lightning, because that would be bad. Well guys, I got the Saturn V pretty much all finished construction wise. It's going to be a while before I paint it because I think that the old decals are a little too far gone, so I'll probably order some new ones. And it's just about the dinnering hour. Got working on the Vostok file. That thing's been neglected for years. Now what is with all the freaking antennas? Anywho, we got all kinds of things in the works. Want to get a series of Aurora videos going after the stuff Andy Yanchus has been telling me, and just so many. I got so many irons in the fire, I can't keep them all straight. Hopefully get started on the George here pretty soon. Got the Swordfish, made a little progress on that, and so just all kinds of things. I was out running errands today. Well, you saw what happened when I went and ran the errands. I have to go back to the dentist tomorrow again. Just routine stuff, but blah blah. Crap doesn't matter. It's just, but that's going to eat up part of the day. So anyway, I was wondering if you were going to make a little fantasy diorama that would change something quasi-plausibly, like I just happened to lay the little Starfix Mustang down with the Midway aircraft just to get set it out of the way, and I was thinking, ooh, they had Mustangs in Midway, or something like that. I just kind of wonder, everybody's had a little fantasy, oh, if we just, had this, if we'd had P-80s here, or if we'd had, P-51s there, or whatever. As the man said in the movie Best Years of Our Lives, when they're flying over after the war, all the parked bombers in the field waiting to be recycled. And he looks down and goes, oh, if we'd had those in 43. And I don't mean something ludicrous like taking I mean, the final countdown would have been great if they, Phantoms and F-14s and Corsair 2s and intruders against the Imperial Japanese Navy and Keto Battalion. That would have been pretty lopsided, but that's the thing, it would have been too lopsided. So I'm not thinking F-15s in the First World War, but if you just could have gotten that little technology edge, like I say, Mustangs at Midway or something like that, if the British had that 600 Spitfires before the Battle of Britain. And because funny thing is that the Hurricane, a lot of people don't realize this, but the Battle of Britain, Hurricanes actually brought down more enemy aircraft than Spitfires, because they had, I think, 4 times as many of them. And yeah, normally they were attached to, assigned to go knock out the bombers while the Spitfires tied up the fighters, which was a good strategy when they could employ it. But according to some things I've read, the Hurricane actually accounted for more kills than all of the other British air defense systems combined. So Hurricanes by themselves, and of course again they had like 4 times as many of them, but Hurricanes by themselves accounted for more shoot downs than any aircraft fire and Spitfires and everything else, and Bolton Pauls and all that other stuff combined. So an interesting little factoid. Personally, I think it's a cool looking airplane. Just got that kind of hunched back, come and get me a look. So anyway, well, it's that time of the evening for me to bid you all farewell for the evening, and hopefully we'll get a chance to have coffee in the morning, and maybe I'll come up with something interesting to say. Guys, you have a good evening, and we'll talk at you later. Good night.